So welcome everybody to this weekly or mostly weekly CSIG call on Talks on AI, short 30-minute sessions. Today we have Animita Guha from IBM who's going to tell us about how bots fit in the AR/VR space. So I'm handing over to you, Animita, so you can introduce yourself and the talk, and you'll have 30 minutes to include Q&A. Please go ahead, Animita.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I don't know how to make this full screen, so you might have to watch it this way. Is this fine for everyone?
It's okay for me.
All right. We'll just go this way. So, hello, everyone. My name's Animita Guha, and I'm a product manager at IBM. I work on a team that's creating tools for developers that are building with IBM technology. My focus has been Watson and AI specifically, and how we can apply AI to different technologies and solutions. And my focus has been in conversational interfaces. So chatbots, voice bots, IoT devices, and AR and VR. So today I'm excited to kind of talk about the intersection of a few main interests of mine, including bots and AR and VR. So I'll start off with a very basic introduction to bots, AR, VR, and then we'll jump in and talk about a couple of use cases of where bots and AR, VR have intersected and been successful. Great. So the first thing is, what's a bot? And I like to bring this up because I think while a lot of us have probably interacted with bots in the past, we don't necessarily know what defines it. So it could be anything from automation. So in a large company, if you're trying to extract data from a web page, you could have a bot do that. You can have a bot that goes in, fills out forms for you, and you get the data there. But the bot that we're talking about in this instance is conversational. So it's something that you talk to, and you use some sort of communicative tool, whether it be your voice or words, or even emojis, just something to convey something. So when people think of bots, they think of chatbots, typically customer service, and it's kind of a back and forth conversation. But a chatbot, a bot is way more than that. And that's because it manifests in several mediums. So you could have something that can be a personal assistant. So you can think to Slack when you're talking, and you're, say, for a developer, if you're developing and you have Slack integrated with your GitHub account, you're able to tell GitHub to do something via a Slack bot. You can ask your Google Home or your Google or Alexa to give you feedback on what the day is going to be like, or you can set up certain, like, if this happens, then do this. So it's evolved more than just like, hey, like, what's the weather outside? It's what is the weather outside and how do I get to work in an optimal way, and what should I wear based on the weather outside? So it's there to augment your life and help kind of carry what you're doing in a larger way that allows you to really like live your best self. It's a very lofty goal, vision, but that's kind of what a conversational interface exists for. The other thing I'll point out is there's a lot of bots out there that are really good with altering human behavior. So if you think of a very basic stimulus and response, bots are good at that. So if it's a conversational bot, say on Messenger, and you want to prime yourself to drink water every day, you can have a bot send you a notification saying, did you drink water? And you can respond to it, and it creates a log for you. And over time, you're able to manifest a behavior that you want, and you can, curate the life you want to live based on other things. Great. So moving over to bots in the AR/XR space. So just to kind of highlight AR, for those of you who are unfamiliar, AR stands for augmented reality. and it is taking the world you live in and complementing it with something. So it's usually done with some sort of device, whether it be your phone, your tablet, it could even be a headset. And what it does is the world around you is more or less the same, but it adds something to it or removes something from it. So typical AR applications that people are familiar with, one is Pokemon Go that came out in 2016 now, where users were able to go around, find Pokemons in their actual environment and grab it. Other applications of AR have been mainly in like gaming or like adjusting stuff to your selfie. So that's like you take a picture of your face and you're able to add doggy ears or change how your eyes look, and that augments the reality of what you are actually seeing. Next is VR. And VR is virtual reality. And what that is it's a complete immersive experience. So in AR, while you're able to have kind of like a 50-50 of like, this is what my world is here, and this is what I'm adding on. VR is your senses, everything is immersed in one particular space. Usually involves a headset with sound. So you will see, hear things completely different. Maybe not smell or taste, but people are developing things that bring it together. So there are concepts of XR. So one of the reasons why I said XR is that combines AR with VR. So the Microsoft HoloLens or the Magic Leap glasses, where you are aware, like you have spatial awareness of where you are, so you're not 100% immersed, but what you're seeing is almost an overlay of your current environment. Great. So now to get into the actual meat of things, like how do bots fit in the XR space? So I have a couple of short videos that I wanted to show you. The first one is a use case that's very, very basic with bots. So at the foundation, every bot is a conversation. So conversations can happen two ways. Right now I'm talking to you and you guys are not, we're not having a direct one-way conversation. So, a direct two-way conversation. Voice commands is a use case that we've seen in VR where mainly in gaming, but also when it comes to personal assistance, where users say something and they expect something in return. So this is the first game of its kind that's used voice in AR VR. And for those of you that are big gamers or Trekkies, this is an instance where there is a computer or a bot within the starship that picks up the voice and elicits commands so that you are able to have a hands-free gaming experience. This is a 3-minute video trailer. I'll play the first 2 minutes or so until you guys get the idea of how voice has been inputted into the game.
Captain's log, stardate 2016.165. Starship USS Aegis is preparing for her maiden voyage. We've gathered some of the most decorated officers in the Federation to test her limits and to prove her place among Starfleet's finest ships. We're en route to a secret testing facility and are proceeding to our destination at maximum warp. This is amazing! Wow. Absolutely astonishing. When I walked in, I really wasn't sure what I was actually walking into. Very cool. If I could have imagined what I would have wanted the Star Trek VR game to be, this is what we've been waiting for.
Holy crap, this is amazing.
I mean, it really is breathtaking. That was an extraordinary experience, to be fully encompassed in a world.
Whoa, not into that. You're interacting with each other and you're talking to each other and you're taking orders from the captain, and I mean, it's really cool.
So there's captain, helm, piloting the ship, tactical, and the engineer routing power and charging warp coils.
I'm feeling pressure already. I'm feeling nervous now.
All right, shields up. Prepare warp. Take us out.
Yes, Captain.
Co-op gameplay is not new. I mean, we can play games.
So that there you go. So where you heard, pardon me, where you heard prepare warp, bring up the shield, that's the type of voice command that you would use within the game. So in this case, you have other players that you're playing with, but if you don't have that, you're able to issue commands that that allows a computer to do that for you, so you have a computerized person. And again, based on conversation, it's the same technology, the same AI that goes behind creating a chatbot to do this. So now we're going to move into something a little more advanced. This is still same voice, but it's used for data manipulation. So it's more of an enterprise use case. So I'll play another short video so you guys get, these are all demo videos, so I don't want to spend too much time watching it, but so you guys get the idea. So. Why aren't you playing? Weird. Okay.
Humans generate 2.5 million terabytes of data per day, ranging from energy, weather prediction, the cure of disease, market trends, or the next pro player star. With this large amount of information, finding the right patterns, relationships, and outliers has become a very complex task. There's tons of value.
Oh man, this won't work. Here, I'll zoom forward so you guys can get the idea.
Block from a different angle lends information on its depth and the number of dots. And maybe another brick might even be hidden behind it. A new perspective doesn't just allow you to understand one brick, it reveals the entire system. Immersive Insights is redesigning the data exploration process. As humans, we are biologically wired to process in 3D. We understand by seeing, touching, exploring. Immersive Insights.
So here you see they're wearing a Microsoft HoloLens, and you're able to manipulate data in 3D to actually understand what's happening, and you get a third dimension out of it. So we find this to be a very big enterprise use case for people that are building in AR, VR. This is a mixed reality environment where you're kind of immersed in your data set, but you have the world around you to be the same. And you can manipulate it with your fingers and move things around, or you can also use voice to be like, and say like, show me plots of points that are only men, data from only women.
It's recently teamed up with
you can say things like, show me stuff between July and August, and use that to actually manipulate the data in real time. Great. So the next use case we have is virtual agents. I won't show a video for this one, but the link for it is on the bottom. And the demo is of a personal assistant or a virtual agent that is in the International Space Station. So you're able to be in a VR headset. This one was built for the HTC Vive, and it is used to, you go in and then you have a personal assistant that brings you around the International Space Station. So you could ask it questions like, how does the astronaut go to the bathroom? What is the astronaut going to eat today? And the virtual agent will respond to you. So you can see the complexity kind of growing. So you go from one way, you elicit a voice command, you use voice and hand gestures to move things around for data manipulation. Here, it's a two-way conversation, so you're able to talk to someone, but it's a transactional conversation. So what is this? Where does this happen? And the bot is pre-programmed to respond to you. So now we move into the next use case, and this one's probably one of the more interesting ones. You have virtual agents, and the virtual agent is not just a one-way conversation, but you're adding a level of AI to it to understand how someone is feeling. So something that makes conversations in AR/VR very unique is when we think of conversations, we have the 7% rule, where 7% of conversations are verbal, and that's where chat comes in. But 93% of conversation is nonverbal. So when we have voice included, we're able to include and capitalize on tone, inflection, how the speed someone's talking. But in AR/VR, you're also able to pick up things like eye tracking, body language, and really understand how this other person is feeling and how this person is emoting, so you're able to cater the conversation to them. So this demo actually shows R2-D2. It's a demo built that he responds and reacts in a different way based on the emotion that you're sensing. So again, I won't show the video for time's sake, but if we say something like, hey, I'm having a wonderful day, then R2-D2 will come forward and you'll be like, woohoo, and it'll say something different. Or if you're like, I feel really scared about how the rest of this talk is going, R2-D2 will change his behavior and also respond in a different way. So when we go into an immersive environment, you can have a conversation that's really, really catered to the individual based on how he or she or the end user is feeling, and really make it a personalized experience. So this brings us to the next phase, and I think going into 2019, this is going to be one of the bigger trends that we'll notice. I think 2017 was the year of bots. 2018 was the year of assistants. 2019 is going to be the year of the way we're talking about it is avatars or digital humans. So it's not you talking to a robot, but it's you talking to an actual person. So I'm going to play this video and just kind of give you an idea of what a virtual human or digital human is. Where aren't you? All right, I'm not sure why it's not playing.
Animita, someone's put the link to the video in the chat. You may just want to click on that. Oh, it's playing now. Okay.
Thank you to whoever did that.
I can see you and hear you. I can sense your environment, and I can respond to your emotions. I guess you could say I'm putting a human face on artificial intelligence.
Okay, so digital humans. So there are many use cases that we're seeing this pop up in, from dads creating videos of themselves or avatars of themselves to read to their children when they're traveling, to entertainment industry where you're actually creating a movie out of this, all the way to like customer service. So if you spend some time after this call, you're able to see how other companies are building digital humans to kind of revolutionize the customer experience. The video that I had pulled up here, again, won't show, is based on Air New Zealand. So when you actually go in to an Air New Zealand flight or you're about to check in, they have little kiosks of Rachel, I think is their digital human that you can talk to, and she'll say like the details about the flight, what you want to do when you explore, all of that. And then we're also seeing it in popping up in store for like brick and mortar experiences. Instead of having a human you talk to, there'll be a digital human you talk to, and it's connected to IoT sensors that will say, like, after discussing this is the product you want, it'll light it up what you want in the aisle, so you have a very, very personalized experience. And those are digital humans. So with that, I'm open to taking any questions. I have links to my personal information here. If you're interested in building any form of technology or bot with IBM, I have the links for that also available to you here. And I'm happy to answer any questions you have today or later. Feel free to reach out to me.
So Bob Schloss has a lot of questions for you, and I've unmuted you, Bob, or, if you want to speak, or Animita can read the questions in the chat.
Animita, if you can bring up your chat view, I've typed out my questions, but I really want to put another slice on the family of use cases by whether people are interacting with a system that represents some kind of enterprise for short periods of time, just like what time is my local bank branch open until, or what are the interest rates on a 1-year CD, these little inquiry kind of things, or what's the next train leaving from the Ossining train station to Grand Central. There are many of these little short things,
right,
versus longer things. Do we have feelings about which of the shorter things should try to do AR or VR? That's my first question.
Okay. So, great question.
And my second questions really have to do with this presentation of digital humans and whether there are large-scale studies being done by anyone about consumer comfort with them, as opposed to no visual representation of what looks like a sentient being, or using a cartoon character or an animal or something else.
Yeah, great question. So for the first one, I'll talk about kind of the arc of conversation. So most linguists or conversational scientists or cognitive scientists, when they think of conversation, they put it into 4 categories. So the first one is just basic conversation that's transactional that you're describing now, like, hi, how are you, what's the weather, those use cases you described. As you continue to build, the most like profound form of conversation is known as generative conversation. So it is when you're actually having kind of like a meetings of the mind, and you're coming up with words and concepts that don't necessarily exist yet, and you're constructing a new world of language. In between, there's conversation where you are working to kind of understand the other person, or you come in with a certain idea and you're resolving conflict or to argue. So when we think of that, the people are building conversations for all of it. We're just not at the last stage of how do you create a brand new conversation, and that's where we're kind of stopping. So for these short questions that you're describing, people are using AR, VR, mainly in cases where there needs to be some sort of visual representation. So when it becomes like, hey, is it raining outside, or what time is the train, you don't necessarily need a visual representation for it to conform. But if you think of going through a drive-through, you might want an AR VR component to it, right? So there's a screen where you say, like, I want a fries, you always see it verified. So when these short inquiry sessions are happening, if there's some sort of visual confirmation that you need or to help what you're building, that's when it becomes helpful. So an example of that would be IKEA has a great AR app that helps you build furniture. So instead of following instructions or having someone talk to you to say, like, build this first, do this next, you're able to use your phone and put it against the different like parts that you have, and it highlights use this and put it together, so they're complementing each other. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yes.
Great. So the second one with digital humans and are they being implemented, what studies are happening. So digital humans very, very, like, obviously are still in, like, uncanny valley. Technology, I think, is there so that the human talking is very, very seamless. But one of the reasons why Soul Machines has baked in the I'm a robot mentality is to actually let people feel comfortable knowing that they are talking to a robot. People are not actually there to speak to someone completely human and be duped by it yet. Most of the studies that have been done are through Soul Machines. There are a couple of other companies that have popped up in the space, but in terms of actual researchers that are working on it to get real studies behind it, that to my knowledge hasn't started yet. There are a lot of studies popping up right now with voice and how voice is affecting the world we live in. So how it's affecting family dynamics. Amazon's pushing Echo for kids and how that's changing how children are learning. So those are the studies that a lot of universities and people are working on, but not necessarily this, like, visual representation and what's happening.
Mamnoon has posted a link to an article, the US military and Ford use digital human avatars to test new products, in the chat.
Awesome.
Yeah. Any more questions for Animita? That was very helpful and a lovely talk. Thank you so much, Animita. Any more questions?
I have a question about the automobile sector.
Yeah.
Both, individual automobiles, taxis, tour buses.
Yeah.
Are people looking at projecting onto windows for passengers, not for the driver, but for passengers for any purposes?
Yes. So I've spoken with a couple of clients that are exploring that. The main use cases for that right now are tourism. So what you're seeing, what you're building from there. And then there's also, for, like, a more commerce angle, people are looking at that to determine, like, you're driving, here's a restaurant that's rated 5 stars, go eat here, or show up ads in that sense. But for that to be built, I think we're a couple of years out. What most people are focusing on right now are two things in the automobile industry. One is the shopping experience. So how do you create virtual trade rooms? How do you figure out, like, what kind of car you want and customize it? And that way you don't have to necessarily go in and talk to a car salesman. It's just like the human psychology of talking to a car salesman that they're trying to kind of break. And the second is actually the driving experience. So a light maybe comes up. What does this light mean? Or like, while you're driving and you want to have some sort of, like, take me here, do this, and have it be integrated with your other smart devices.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Animita. And please thank Animita in the chat if you enjoyed the session. Next week, we'll have a speaker from Duke University talking about teaching data science. So thank you. Thank you again, Animita. And I'll close the call, post the recording later today.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks all. Bye.